First things first, the World Series getting underway last night. That guy, Clayton Kershaw, was dealing. Dodgers rolling to an 8-3 Game 1 win. And we got a guy that knows a thing or two about winning a World Series here to break it all down, Mr. Nick Swisher. Nick, good morning. Love having you on here. Were you surprised last night that the Dodgers had such an easy time with the Rays?
Yeah, I definitely thought it was going to be a lower scoring game than that. I also didn't think Clayton Kershaw would go out and dominate the way that he did. I mean, listen, man, you know, I think you have the #1 seed from both leagues, the American League and the National League, right? It's almost like a David versus Goliath sort of matchup. You look at the overall contracts and the whole nine. But I think in general, for Clayton to go out there, who's not the ace anymore, Walker Buehler is the ace, for him to get the start Game 1 in the World Series matched up perfectly, and he was absolutely phenomenal. Could not have been more proud than him. I'm telling you, man, what was it, 6 innings, 8 punch-outs? I mean, so far this postseason, Clayton Kershaw has been amazing. 2.88 ERA, 31 punch-outs, and only 3 walks. Hey, that's definitely going to change the narrative when the Dodgers win this World Series for sure.
Well, we got a little prediction from you in there. And by the way, if Clayton gets another start, which he should, he's going to set the all-time playoff strikeout record as well. I think he's 5 short of the all-time record. So let's stay on Clayton Kershaw. He's my second favorite pitcher of my lifetime. I'm personally wounded that you said he's not the ace anymore. He'll always be the ace. I don't care what Walker Buehler does. And last night, though, I got to admit, 3 batters into the game, when there's 1 out, 2 on, I'm like, oh, no. And then he was perfect. He missed 1 pitch the rest of the game, ended in a solo home run. For Kershaw, I hate to go legacy, but I'm going to go legacy. If you're right, they win the World Series. He pitched brilliantly yesterday. What does this do for him in the historical picture of the game?
Oh, it turns it around. I think it just kind of, I mean, I think he's a Hall of Famer right now, but I think it's almost like people need to see him do well in the postseason to really kind of sign off on the fact that we think he's the Hall of Famer that he is. Not only that, man, just think of everything that he's done for the Los Angeles Dodgers organization. Right, this guy is one of those guys. He does it on the field and off. He's that, you know, he's that idol that you want your kids to look up to, right? He's that guy that wants to take the ball. And I think that having the back spasms might have been the best thing ever for him. Kind of pushes him back, gives him a couple extra days to rest. And for him to go out there and do what he did last night, absolutely amazing. Dodgers definitely have the advantage for sure right now.
Nick, you look great. B. Marshall here. Hey, buddy, I want to tell you this. Where are you, in Tampa or South Florida? Where are you at?
Yeah, we're out here in Tampa these days.
You're in Tampa. Okay, so it's only a 2.5 ride down. You need 2.5 hour drive down. You need to come down, because I guarantee you this. Right now, me against you, me on the mound, I will strike you out 9 out of 10 times. Guaranteed. You look good.
That is the worst take ever.
Brandon, be careful. No, you can't.
100%.
I don't think that would work.
Well, let's make the bet. But, buddy, let's keep talking about hitting. Cody Bellinger, what makes this guy so special? Why is his bat so beautiful right now?
Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, man, he's got an MVP to his name. He hit that huge home run in Game 7 in the 7th inning, if I'm not mistaken, right? And then all of a sudden, you know, he's forearm bashing everybody in the whole 9, and then he separates his shoulder. It kind of pops out. They re-pop it back in, right? I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, how do you just pop that shoulder back in and just get back on the field? But he's one of those guys, man. I don't think the bat is necessarily impressed me as much as his glove on the defensive end of things, right? I mean, he is one of those guys that, I mean, he's at the bottom of the order for some reason for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And this is the thing right now. We were talking about this in the watch party last night. If you look where Clayton Kershaw has had success so far as of late, it's been on the inside part of the plate. When you mess that lead shoulder up, you can't get to those outside fastballs. You saw before he hit the home run in Game 7, right? I think it was off of Curtis, I think, or it might have been. I forget who it was. But anyways, make a long story short, he was throwing fastballs away, away, away. And Cody just kept fouling him off, fouling him off, fouling him off. But once you miss on the inside part of the plate, that's where he is most comfortable. And that's exactly what happened when he hit that huge home run last night off of Glasnow.
That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do to you. I'm just go outside, outside, outside.
Oh, Brandon.
I love it, man. B-Bucks, bro. I love you, bro. This is great, dude. I love it.
Swish, I want to talk about Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts gets a walk, steals 2 bases, comes home on an infield out, basically, right? So the question for you is strategically about the Rays. They know Mookie's on the base paths. He got credit for 2 stolen bases, but when the infield's drawn in and he still gets home, that's almost like stealing home. I know it's not. Was it a strategic mistake with Max Muncy, left-handed hitter, not to have the third baseman really trying to keep Mookie attached to third base?
No, because, I mean, I only think there's a few guys. I only think there's a handful of guys in the game that score on that ground ball from Muncy, right? You know, I mean, I think maybe like Byron Buxton maybe can get in there. There's not a whole lot of guys that have the speed that Mookie does, nor the athleticism, nor the game, you know, the overall knowledge of the game. Right now, this is the reason why Mookie signed the deal that he did. This is why, in my opinion, a lot of people say Mike Trout's the best player in the game, but I think Mookie Betts is right up there with him as well. He not only affects the ball on the offensive side, you've seen the amazing defensive plays that he's made, and his overall leadership in that Los Angeles Dodger locker room has been has been up here, right? Clayton Kershaw-esque. He's one of those guys, man. I think I saw a quote from him the other day. It says, the Los Angeles Dodgers are all about winning, and that's my DNA. And that's exactly right, man. Going for his 2nd World Series title. I said it before the series started, the lights are the brightest in the World Series, and this is where Mookie Betts is going to show up the most. Last night, 2 hits, 2 stolen bases. I think he scored 2 runs. Obviously a huge factor in the game, and he will continue to be a huge factor moving forward.
Love Mookie. All right, Swish, I want to ask you about Rays starter Tyler Glasnow last night. His line 4 1/3, allowed 6 runs on 3 hits, 6 walks, but 112 pitches. Was that too many for him last night?
Yeah, I think they kind of got caught in a little trouble there, you know, I think in the 5th inning. And, you know, I mean, Glasnow's got electric stuff. There's no doubt about it. But once he starts walking guys, that's when things can really start to kind of, you know, get themselves away. So, you know, I think that, yeah, I mean, Cash has a lot of question marks, right? He's got a lot of questions that he has to answer. In situations like that right there, in that situation, it was 1st and 3rd with 1 out. You can't bring in Yarbrough from the bullpen throwing 86 miles an hour. That's just not going to get it done in that situation. You're going for the strikeout. It didn't work, right? And then all of a sudden there in the 5th inning, they kind of blew it open and really kind of expanded it open. But I think that Glasnow's a tremendous pitcher. I think he's had a tremendous season so far. Obviously, he just had a rough start last night, but I can promise you he will be itching to get back on that rubber for sure.
All right, I want to go back to Mookie for a second because you said something really interesting and something that's really polarizing amongst the nerd baseball community. And while I'm not in the nerd baseball community, I'm in enough nerd communities that I at least am included on some of the emails. And you said, this is why I believe Mookie Betts is the best player in baseball more so than Mike Trout. And folks will see that and they'll send you every WAR and every advanced stat to say why you're nuts. The argument for that, though, and I want your personal experience is, nobody can blame Trout for his team not playing in big playoff games. But because they haven't, we don't get to see how he would respond in these high-leverage, massive moments. Can you explain to the audience as a player how different the game feels when you're playing game 97 in the middle of the summer and when you're playing game 7? Or when you're in the middle of a playoff series and you're playing against the same staff day after day, and why certain guys, no matter how good they are, aren't built for that moment, and certain guys like Mookie, and I don't know if Trout is or isn't, but we know that Mookie is a 162-game player and a playoff player, and the difference there as a player, Swish.
Yeah, well, no doubt. I mean, you said Mookie is a playoff player. You're right. We haven't really had the chance to see Mike Trout in the playoffs that often, and I think you really hit the nail on the head. We're getting the chance to see Mookie Betts play on the biggest stage in the game right now. Now, if Mike Trout was in the playoffs, which I thought the Angels might have a chance with the expanded playoffs, right? I mean, 16 teams, and the Angels couldn't even get in. So I think right now, I mean, obviously the attention is on a guy like Mookie Betts, just signed that monster contract this year, but he's living up to that. There's 2 players in the game, well, maybe 3 now, that you could honestly say are worth every penny, and that would be Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, and maybe somebody like Garrett Cole. But I think when you're looking at it like that, I mean, obviously Mike Trout not being in situations like this, it's hard for us to talk about it because we don't know how he would do in these situations, right?
Yep.
We know what Mookie's doing in these situations, and he's doing it on all facets of the game. That's what I love about this. Mookie Betts is not the biggest guy out there. He's not 6'5". He's not 240 pounds. If he had his mask on walking down the street and sunglasses, people would look at him just like he's a regular guy. But he could be one of the best players in baseball.
Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for that. You know what I mean?
All right, Nick, let's go to the biggest story, the most important story. It's been 32 years since the Dodgers got it done. How important is this, or how big of a moment would this be for baseball and the Dodgers?
Yeah, I think huge, man. I think if you're looking at this matchup, you got David versus Goliath. And I think there's two people that really kind of stand out when it comes to winning World Series right now, and that would be Clayton Kershaw and also manager Dave Roberts, right? I love Dave Roberts. He's a phenomenal guy. Listen, man, the Dodgers have knocked on the door, this is the third time out of the last 4 years they've been in the World Series. Listen, the Dodgers know what that losing feeling is like, and that's the last thing they want to have right now. Game 1 win is huge. Obviously, you have Game 2 coming up, right? I think, with everything kind of backed up, Walker Buehler not going Game 2, you got Tony Gonsolin going Game 2, which I think is great. But right now, if the Dodgers could win this would be huge for the game, right? Just in general. Think about it, bro. LeBron just comes, wins his 4th championship in L.A. He's got all that good karma coming that way. But on this side of things, listen, man, we got the Lightning that just won the Stanley Cup, right? Tom Brady is doing his thing down there with the Bucks, and also the Rays are doing their thing. So you're talking about two of the best sports cities right now going. And, I'm interested to see how it's going to shake down. Obviously, I think the Dodgers have a little bit of the advantage. But I think that with all the lockdown that's going on in L.A. and in Los Angeles and in California, I think the Dodgers win. They shut it down, baby. Let's party. Everybody back in the streets, man. Let's have a good time. You know what I mean?
Swish, there seems to be so much enthusiasm around this Game 1 win, and maybe it's because it's a neutral field thing. It's like, oh, I don't see the series will play out differently because we're in a neutral field. What's your prediction for tonight's game, and how do you think the Rays respond?
I think the Rays respond big time, right? Kevin Cash knows his guys. He knows the way that they have played. Listen, you're not the number 1 seed, coming out of the AL East in that power division. You're not the number 1 seed in the American League for any certain reason. I mean, they've got great pitching. They've had a tremendous year this year. And I think if there is any team that has done well through this shortened season, I think it's the Tampa Bay Rays. They know their algorithm. They know the way that they win ball games, and that's by using all the pitchers they have. Right now, with no off days through the playoffs so far, they've used a lot of that bullpen. So I think a lot of the question marks for Kevin Cash moving forward is how he's going to use his bullpen, who he's going to go to for big outs on a little bit of a depleted bullpen. Those are my question marks for sure.
All right, Nick, really quick. You brought it up. I got to do it to you, okay? You brought up LeBron James really quick. Stuff is starting to heat up on this show right now between Nick and I. Who is the GOAT? Is it LeBron James? Is it MJ? That's the first question. The second question is this. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, or Nick Foles and the Bears? Who do you like? Those two questions right there.
Oh, man. I tell you what, hey, Big Nick, he's doing it up there in Chi-Town. No doubt about that, man.
Look at that.
What I mean, right?
No.
I'm telling you, bro. Like, nobody thought that was going to happen, right? You still thought Trubisky was going to have that starting job this year, but then all of a sudden, Big Nick comes in. Mitch has a couple rough games. But right now, Tom Brady and the way he has turned around the entire organization of Tampa Bay is impressive. You bring a winning mentality somewhere. Hey, B-Mark, you've been in a locker room, right? You bring somebody with clout, somebody that's a leader. It's easy to follow guys like that. And not only that, man, the way Gronkowski played last game, bro, Gronk is back.
So who do you like? Just answer the question. Don't answer the question. You sound like Wiles right now. So who do you like? And then I want to hear the GOAT really quickly.
Shots fired, Wiles.
I'm gonna go with the Bucks right now. I think there's a lot of great things going on right now. I think it's been a major turnaround for them as well. And right now, man, come on. A lot of people are talking about these championships. And should there be asterisks next to these championships? LeBron just won his 4th championship, right? For me, I mean, you can talk about this all day long. I've been able to watch LeBron from a little puppy, all of a sudden, man, take it all the way to the top for the GOAT. I know a lot of people say MJ is, but LeBron has done so much, not only on the court, but off the court as well. And for me, that means a lot, no doubt.
Swish, come back anytime.
Nick Swisher.
Especially after you
Thank
take
you
Brandon
so
Yards
much,
10
buddy.
out of 10 times. I mean, he's going to strike you out 9 out of 10. You out of your
Basketball,
mind,
you hit
Brandon.
all of it. Football,
Great job,
we
Swish.
really, really appreciate it. All right, enjoy game 2 tonight, buddy. We're talking big problems in Big D. Is Mike McCarthy on the hot seat? Next, first things first. Swish.